Welcome back to another episode of Hooked on Fantasy. It is Tuesday, December 7th, whenever you're listening to this. We're recording it on Monday night before Monday Night Football, so we are not going to get into that game today. We'll be getting into that on Wednesday's episode. Just a heads up ahead of time. We have another great show for you guys today. We're talking about players that we think will win you your fantasy league. Going to have a bunch of tangents on this one. Should be a fun time. A little bit of news and notes, but yeah, that's what we got going for you today. Akash, how you doing?
I'm doing well. What about you, man?
I'm good. I just got some water. We recorded back-to-back episodes today. So the episode you listened to yesterday, we just finished about a half hour ago. So we are on the grind today, ladies and gentlemen. But I won't waste so much time. Let's hop right into these news and notes. We don't really have anything for you because we just covered all the news from today and the episode you listened to yesterday, Monday. A little bit of news though. So the Giants have been very injury riddled at the quarterback position recently, with Daniel Jones, and now Mike Glennon also being injured, the long neck king, Mike Glennon. So now Jake Fromm, who was drafted by the Buffalo Bills just a short time ago, is in line to possibly make his first career start on Sunday, which could be a hot mess, but it should be entertaining to say the least.
Yeah. I think they play the Rams, right?
Yeah,
Rams defense probably roster in a lot of leagues, but they're going to be so chalky because Jake Fromm is really, really bad. Really bad.
Very bad. Very, very bad.
Well, yeah.
Did you see, real quick, this isn't really relevant because when you're listening to this on Tuesday, the game already happened, but we talked in the last episode for Monday about how there should be some bad weather tonight. There's a ton of clips now on Twitter about how bad the weather is for tonight's game, for Monday's game. There's like 22 mile per hour wind, up to 55 mile per hour wind gusts, and like pouring rain. I quote tweeted it and said, yeah, Patriots win. So I think the Patriots are going to win. That's my prediction. By the time this comes out, we'll see if I'm right. Should be interesting to see. And then I see you added something to the doc here about Fangio and Melvin Gordon.
Yeah, he just said something about it like 5 minutes ago, where he said that Fangio said Gordon will be back to practice sometime this week. So it's just a little update on the timeline. I think that he's back this week, and he also said that it probably goes back to he's like, oh, the tandem has worked. They're both playing their roles, like really coach speaky, right? It's like maybe it goes back to 50-50 split. If you just go off that, you probably think it does. I think there's a good chance it does, just because Melvin Gordon's been decent this year. He's been good enough to stave off the Javonte total breakout, right?
He certainly hasn't been bad, I mean, they paid him a lot of money. They're definitely going to use him for the rest of the season if he's healthy. I would like to see some more Javonte. I mean, everyone would, but you can't really fault him for playing Gordon. I mean, they paid him a lot of money.
Right. So yeah, I get it. Maybe a little halter on the Javonte end of season breakout.
Maybe. But I mean, if Gordon gets hurt again, we could have a Jonathan Taylor end of season for Javonte.
We'll find other league winners if Melvin Gordon comes back and just has a 50% opportunity share again.
That would suck.
Yes.
But speaking of league winners, yeah, we both did the same transition. We are doing league winners today.
We're good.
What'd you say? What is it?
We're seasoned vets in this.
Oh yeah, of course. We've recorded so many episodes. So we both brought. I have in the doc for 3, but Akash threw in 6 or 7. I can't tell. That's 7. So we're gonna have a lot to talk about. It should be fun. I'm sure we'll go on some tangents. This first one's gonna be interesting. I put Amon-Ra St. Brown. He had a great game. You said no immediately.
No, yeah, immediately.
Well, okay. Let me get the case for him.
All right,
last 2 weeks, he has 96% and 98% of snaps. The Detroit Lions need a wide receiver really badly. And last week Sunday, he put up 10 catches on 12 targets for 86 yards in the game-winning touchdown, which is great, especially in PPR leagues. He had an awesome performance. And let me pull up this quote that Jared Goff said about him earlier after the game. Let me scroll back down here and find it. He talked very highly of him. Yeah, here's the quote. This is Jared Goff speaking on Amon-Ra St. Brown, who was one of my favorite prospects coming out of college from USC this past season. He said, quote, he's a stud. He's a stud and will be a stud for as long as he wants to be in this league. He's been on our mind, and I'm sure Dan Campbell would say it as well. I've trying to get him the ball for the past 6 weeks now, probably. I think today it showed up. Just trying to get him involved and getting the ball in space, what he can do in space. He's a freak, and he did some of those things today. So Jared Goff really likes him. Jaron Campbell likes him. He's a talented player. I did a whole film breakdown thread of him on my Twitter account. If you go scroll back a little bit, he's a great player. I think Amon-Ra St. Brown is capable of, developing into a great player long term. And I would love to see him kind of, turn it on here down the stretch.
Yeah, I'm following the exact opposite side of it. So coming out of USC, he had the everyone focuses on breakout age. I think breakout age started as like an underrated metric because no one paid attention to it, and then it was like the only thing people paid attention to. But it's part of the puzzle. It's not all the puzzle. He had an 18-year-old breakout age at a 20% market share, but he never broke 30%. He was always at like mediocre, not mediocre. He was just above average at USC, and he never smashed any of the boxes. Right? He was like just okay, and that's what led people, including me, coming out to say like, yeah, this guy, if he gets drafted in round 2 or 3, which is what I expected, I think he'll end up. I think he could be a wide receiver. I think he has like a ceiling of being a wide receiver too, a decent slot guy, right? Like Tyler Boyd, but not as good, right? And then the NFL passed on him in round 1, 2, and 3. A bunch of wide receivers went before him. The NFL basically said this guy is not good enough to be drafted in rounds 2 or 3, right? And so
I really don't understand why he fell still.
He didn't fall. He just didn't go highly. I don't think I think that this was definitely within his range of outcomes to be drafted in day 3 or late, day 3 instead of day 2, right? Sure. And so the NFL didn't like him. They said he was bad. He's not thriving or anything. It's not like he's some smash prospect. This year, in a room where the Lions have no wide receivers in their wide receiver room, right? It's opening the doors for him to have some opportunity to succeed, get on the field, right? He has 7+ targets in only 4 games this year, and on there he only has 4 games above like a 20% target share. So he's not smashing any boxes by any means. I think this was his first like good game of the year, like actually good and not just decent game of the year.
Right, but I'm trying to say I think this might be a trend of things to come. Over the last few weeks, his usage has gone up.
But on the year, he's barely out targeting a guy like Khalif Raymond, right? And he's still going to be the third option when DeAndre Swift comes back, and he's still behind TJ Hawkinson, right? I just don't see a path for him to be more than a wide receiver 3 this year. And I think next year, that when they bring in more competent wide receivers, I think they'll draft guys or bring guys in free agency. I just think that he won't have much sticking power. This is like what Darius Slayton did for the Giants in 2019 when he was drafted. It was a desolate wide receiver room, and that's what let him get on the field, make some plays. But when they brought in better wide receivers, he just isn't going to have much of an impact because he's really not that good. I think it's a similar mold for him.
I mean, I understand it. I just think that he is. I think he's better than what you're giving him credit for. He's a really talented player. I just think they need to give him the ball more. Honestly, I liked his college production personally. I just had it pulled up. I accidentally closed out of it, but
his college production was fine. It was just that the NFL determined that he wasn't good enough to be.
He played 5 games last season in college. He had 478 receiving yards and 7 touchdowns in 5 games.
Yeah,
he's very good. He's a great player. I honestly don't understand why he dropped out of like the 3rd round. I think I liked his film a lot. I think he showed a lot of positive traits, and I think he flashed. And I honestly think that Detroit's a good landing spot for him long term because he has the opportunity to establish his role early. I do think a lot of people have the Detroit Lions drafting a wide receiver in round 2 this coming draft, but which is obviously a good thing for the entire team. But I think it's also could be a good thing for Amon-Ra just because I don't think he's the dominant alpha build wide receiver. I comped him to Juju Smith-Schuster. It's because he's a relatively similar build. He's a physical player. He can do a bit of everything. And I think he is not a stud X wide receiver, but he can do a lot of the things that you're looking for. And I think that he has potential down the stretch here to start putting together some good games. I mean, they won their first game this past Sunday, and guess who had the most targets on the team? Amon-Ra St. Brown. I just think it's possible. Obviously, I'm not saying this is indicative of the future necessarily, but I am predicting an increased workload for him for the rest of the season, essentially. I'm not saying that he's going to get 12 targets a game, but he could be more. I think they want to get the ball to him more. I mean, that quote from Goff I mentioned earlier saying that like he's been wanting to get the ball to him all season, and it really started to come together. He thinks he's a good player, and
on the season,
I like him.
Like he's on the season, he has 5-ish targets per game. Like I think
Sure.
it's within the cards for him to have 7-8 targets per game for the rest of the season. But even so, those are low ADOT slot targets. They're really not that valuable. I mean, when I say 7 targets per game, it's like some games he'll have 4, some he'll have 12, right? You're looking at Cole Beasley or Jamison Crowder, right? I just don't find it very valuable. And that's the feeling, I think.
I understand it, but I don't know. I mean, this last game probably was his ceiling, but I'm saying like if he gets the targets, I mean, he could be like a decent version of like a Michael Pittman kind of workload.
I mean,
if it goes well, you know what I mean? Like what he's capable of is that like a wide receiver room doesn't have much. I think that he's talented and the quarterback wants to get on the ball. I just think it's something that we can keep an eye on.
Yeah.
And I like him for Dynasty. I really do. I think
do like him. Big sell for Dynasty. If you can get a 2 for him, like.
Oh, for sure. If you get a second round pick for him, go for it. But I do like him. You did. Yeah. I would still do it though. I would take a second round for him.
Which is basically saying like, yeah, this guy was a bad pick. Which he was a bad pick.
Yeah. I mean, he was. He hasn't done much this year, but I mean, I do like him long term still. I am a fan.
You're drafting him for the opportunity that he supposedly walked into when he didn't walk into any opportunity because he's not amazing. Anyways, that's well, like we said, there's going to be tangents on this show. That's a good tangent. Yeah, I definitely think that it's I want to see how it plays out. I think that the Detroit Lions address the wide receiver position in a big way, and that really pushes Amon-Ra St. Brown out of anything that you want for fantasy. Like we saw with Jamison Crowder when the Jets got actual wide receivers.
Sure. Yeah, I understand that. I'm just like, I think it's a little different just because he's so young still. Like he has a lot of room to grow and develop. Like it's not like Jamison Crowder in the sense like he's a veteran. We know what he is. We don't know what Amon-Ra St. Brown is yet. Like that's the benefit of the doubt I'll give him.
There's a long history of day 3 guys who peak in their rookie seasons.
That's true. I understand that, but
Robert Foster. That's the name I was forgetting earlier.
There you go. Okay, that's fair. I understand, but I just like his long-term potential. I think he's a name to watch. But yeah, anyway, let's keep moving here. You want to hit one of your first guys, or you want me to just go down the show doc here?
Yeah, Lombardi Lenny. I like it. And Dynasty_IM on Twitter have been just hammering buy Lenny in Dynasty for a second, for like mid to late second, because that's what his price was a few weeks ago.
I've been saying that as well. He's like my favorite Dynasty buy low. He's so good.
Continue to reap the rewards because this is a workhorse on a terrific offense who's only 26. There's a lot of in his price that says I think this guy doesn't have a role next year. I definitely think that he very well could have a role. Rest of the season, he's obviously seeing a terrific workload. He has a 65% opportunity share in a really good offense. We saw against the Colts, like good offense, good player, good workload, leads like a bunch of touchdowns, a lot of yards, a lot of scoring. He's a good receiver. He has a 14% target share on the year. This is a guy that has top 8 upside at the running back position, and definitely think that like redraft people think him a lot higher than in Dynasty, but a lot of people still aren't like fully on board.
Sure. Yeah, I understand. I mean, Leonard Fournette, I think people kind of still have like the connotation in the back of their head about like the whole like split with him and Rojo, but it's not a thing. It's not a thing.
No one's rocking with Rojo anymore.
It's Leonard Fournette, and Leonard Fournette has been very good this year. They feed him the rock, they pound the rock, and he gets a lot of touchdowns, a lot of goal line carries, and he looks good too. I mean, he's a powerful downhill runner, and he always has been. I think he has plenty of juice left. I like him for Dynasty a lot. I like him for the stretch run a lot. The Bucs are going to score a lot of points, and it's not like he's not catching the ball either. I mean, last Sunday, the Buccaneers passed the ball in every single play of the opening drive, and you're probably like, oh, that's not good. I mean, they're not running the ball. Guess who caught a passing touchdown? Leonard Fournette. It's possible, man. He's not as bad as a receiving back as people think.
He's
You
actually
know,
he's a really good receiving back. He has
exactly.
he one of the few running backs over the last 10 years to have a season of 250 plus carries and 100 targets, and that
Hmm.
spells crazy upside. He has
Yep.
6+ targets in his last 4 games, and over the season he only has 1 game lower than 4 targets. It's been a really good season for him. He's just terrific, like the safety valve for Tom Brady. People entering Tom Brady's first year in Tampa, they're like, let's find who's going to be the James White, and that led them to overdrafting Keyshawn Vaughn, and then Leonard Fournette gets there. Didn't do much last year. He had a receiving role last year, but it wasn't as much because it wasn't on the field as much because that was Ronald Jones.
Hmm.
This year, he's just completely taken over the workhorse role.
Hmm. Yeah, 100%. He's been crushing it. Seriously, like Lenny is everything you could have wanted them to be and more for fantasy this season. I was aboard the Rojo train. I thought it was Ronald Jones' time this year. I was
He
very,
got me.
very, very mistaken. I mean, Rojo. I mean, a lot of people fell into that trap. Leonard Fournette just established himself as the alpha, the guy who can carry that workload that people want, and he's been crushing it. Yeah, he's just
Yeah.
been fantastic. Let's keep the ball. Let's keep the ball rolling here. I'll sit on my second one. It's Javonte Williams, in my opinion. He's just after what we saw on Sunday, he crushed it with the workload. And if Melvin Gordon gets tweaked or comes back and isn't 100%, Javonte can take over this backfield, and then he has that potential. You know, we saw Jonathan Taylor do that at the backstretch of last season, combined with a weak schedule, and just absolutely smashed. Javonte Williams could do the exact same thing. Maybe not the exact same, but if Melvin Gordon goes down, I mean, last night he had 178 yards from scrimmage and a touchdown. If he gets the full workload for the rest of the season, Javonte Williams will be an absolute superstar and can carry your team on his back to the fantasy championship. So that's why he definitely is on this list for me. Even though it's possible, it might not happen. Javonte has a big chance to really just put your team on his back down the stretch.
There's tremendous upside there, like
Huge
relative
upside.
to right. He's probably just a wide receiver. Not wide. He's probably a running back 3, as long as Melvin Gordon has a role. But there's a small chance that Melvin Gordon doesn't get right. There's a chance that he doesn't reclaim his opportunity share that he had before he got hurt. There's definitely upside. I don't think it happens, but it's what you drafted Javonte for, man.
Mm-hmm. 100%. Yeah, I mean, this is why you drafted Javonte Williams. Same thing that happened with Jonathan Taylor last year as well. I mean, it's kind of like the same reason people liked him so much this season because, like, oh, veteran running back in front of a young rookie who has workhorse potential. I mean, sign me up. That's exactly what happened this past season with Javonte in fantasy draft season, and it happened last year with Jonathan Taylor. Why don't you hit on some of these? Let's go a little quicker. We were at 17 minutes already. Let's pound through these.
Yeah. I said I put Elijah Moore. He has upside for the rest of the season. I'm not a big fan of splits and just saying like this is when he started playing well. So I'm going to say since this week he has this many PPR points. But it is notable that Corey Davis now after the season and over the last 3 games, Elijah Moore has over 30% target share. In all 3 games. Obviously, that's not to say he'll have a 30% target share going forward. On the season, he has an 18.6% target share, and that's really with only getting involved in the offense around after their bye. So I think it's reasonable to expect like 20 to 22% target share going forward. I definitely think that's within the cards, and that's he'll be a rock solid wide receiver 2 for the rest of the season, I think. If not a wide receiver 3 because of a bad QB play or if the offense doesn't pass a lot, which is definitely possible because it's a horrible offense with a QB who's shown flashes but overall has not been amazing.
Sure. I actually really like Elijah Moore, and I like him a lot more now after I saw him succeed this past week with Zach Wilson at quarterback. I was sold on him with Joe Flacco and Mike White and all those guys playing because they were hyper targeting him for some reason. He was being very efficient and he was doing really well. He's super talented. He was a really good prospect coming out. I was a big fan of his, smashing him in rookie drafts all over the place in dynasty leagues because he's super talented and landed in a good landing spot in my opinion. Moore is been playing fantastic. He's been playing better than most of the rookie wide receivers over the past few weeks, and he's been a top 24 guy consistently. I think Moore could be a consistent flex play to wide receiver 2 even for the rest of the season if he keeps this up. he's been really, really good, and he's been kind of the driving force of the New York Jets offense. Honestly, the running game has not been very good, been pretty much a patchwork backfield.
Yep.
Corey Davis is injured now. No one's really stepped out for those wide receivers, but Elijah Moore has over the past few weeks. They've given him the opportunity, and he's made the most of it. So I'm definitely on board for Elijah Moore.
Oh yeah, Moore is the best player in that offense for sure.
By far.
I have no doubt about that at this point right now. I think as Zach Wilson grows, I think those two, if Zach Wilson can hit his potential, then those two can be a deadly combo because Moore is just
Absolutely.
a fantastic rookie.
For sure. Why don't you hit on this? The other Elijah here, Elijah Mitchell.
Yeah, it's never been a big Elijah Mitchell fan, but that's mostly because of the job fragility going into next season. He's been getting good opportunity, and as well, he's been getting good usage in the passing game. He's been running the most routes for the offense for the last few weeks, and he has above 60% opportunity share in pretty much every single game he hasn't left early, and he has above 70 in quite a few games. And as well, I'm not a big strength of schedule guy, but it is a nice bonus that his schedule for the rest of the season is pretty good. So this is a team that likes to run the ball, and when they're running the ball, a lot of the carries are going to Elijah Mitchell, and when they're passing the ball to running backs, Elijah Mitchell's the running back out there who's running the vast majority of routes over the last few weeks. It was Jermichael Hasty at one point, but he's missed time. Mitchell's really stepped up in the passing game. I definitely think there's upside for the rest of the season, especially with the schedule giving him even higher of a ceiling. I think he could be a league winner.
I absolutely agree. I mean, Elijah Mitchell's been fantastic the past few weeks. The workload and the schedule matchup is what you want to see for your fantasy league winners. And Elijah Mitchell fits the bill perfect. Let's move on to the tight end number 1 overall in points per game this season. Mr. Washed, binge drinking, party animal, the Gronk Spike Master himself. US Those commercials make me want to hurt myself, man. They're so bad.
Awful.
The Rob Gronkowski USAA insurance commercials make me want to hurt myself. The acting is so bad. I don't know why. Like, the thing is, like, Gronk's done so many ads before. Like, I don't remember his acting being this atrocious. Like, I don't know if the director was just an idiot or he's just that bad of an actor or both. But like, it's so cringe, man.
I swear,
it's so cringe.
It's crazy how bad.
So cringe.
Yep.
Literally just posting cringe online. But why don't we get into why he's so good for fantasy?
Well, obviously, like you said, he's a tight end 1 points per game right now. I don't expect that to continue just because it's been on the back of obviously when you miss time and you have a lower sample size of games, it's easier to show up well because low sample size, it's easier to do well. He also has multiple games with 2 touchdowns, only a 15% target share, which isn't ideal, but that's just leaving a couple games early and playing partial snaps sometimes. I don't know. But on the season, he has 0.38 targets per hour run, which is really, really solid. I think that's
very good.
Yeah, he'll get back up to full snaps like he already has over the last couple of weeks. This is a team that passes a lot. When you have a weapon on an offense that passes a lot and he gets targeted a lot and he gets a lot of red zone targets, you have tremendous upside. And also the Antonio Brown situation. He's suspended for the next two more games, and then there's also uncertainty if they're even going to keep him on the team when he's back. If there was more certainty, I would put him on this list because when healthy, he was a wide receiver 1 himself. There's upside to him too if he even comes back, but I think that Gronk has established himself as like almost a must-play tight end because the league's upside is fantastic.
I think he's a must-play. I mean, he's the tight end number 1 overall in points per game right now. He hasn't played many games this season. He started off red hot and then got hurt and came back, but he's still been really good. I'm a big fan of Gronk.
Who really would you take over him for the rest of the season? Kelsey and Kittle? Is that it?
And Waller.
Yeah, he's hurt, but he's hurt, and his production hasn't been fantastic. I'll
still take him. I can't not fade Waller. He gets too many targets.
He's been good.
Let's move on though to another wide receiver has been very underrated this season. Hollywood Brown. How you feeling about Hollywood down the stretch, and why do you like him so
I'm
much?
feeling good. This is a team that's been passing more. Last year he had a good target share. The offense just wasn't passing as much. But this year the target share has stayed pretty good. He has a 26% target share on the year, and with the increased passing, it's led to 9 targets per game, which is absolutely fantastic. They're also valuable targets because he is more of a down the field receiver. In points per game, he's a low end wide receiver 1. I think that the schedule allows itself that he could have some terrific ceiling weeks because, like I said, he's getting valuable targets, and so there's potential long touchdowns. They'll win you weeks, and so Hollywood Brown has the potential for that, but he also has just terrific volume in general. So I think that this offense could. Lamar's been like a bad last couple games, but
To be fair, I don't know.
The Steelers
always give Lamar a hard time. I don't know why. But however they scheme against him, it always works. He always has a tough time against the Steelers for some reason. But I do agree. I like Hollywood a lot. Like you said, I mean, I'll keep it short. Those valuable targets, those downfield targets, is what you love to see, and he gets plenty. So Hollywood has been this season and continues to be a fantasy weekly start. Let's hop into my last guy here. T. Higgins. I was actually kind of off T. Higgins this season for the most part, just because huge Ja'Marr Chase fan. But T. Higgins over the last few weeks, I mean, Ja'Marr Chase, I think he's been drawing more coverage attention than he was earlier in the season, combined with some missed opportunities here and there just due to regression. Higgins has been great. He's had a lot of touchdowns, a lot of down the field valuable targets, as you mentioned with Hollywood. He's really been looking awesome too. I've been watching the last few Bengals games, and I mean, Higgins, he passes the eye test every way. He's a truly talented wide receiver, and I think he is poised to end the season very strong with Ja'Marr Chase getting so much attention and coverage.
Yeah, for Shane, weren't you a big Joe Burrow fan entering the year?
Absolutely.
For Shane, and you faded T. Higgins just because Ja'Marr Chase was there.
Correct.
You should take away from this. You can have 2 good wide receivers in an offense, man. Come on.
Correct.
Come on.
But Ja'Marr Chase is better.
Yeah. I don't think you'll find anyone who disagrees with you.
John Helmkamp.
Yeah. T. Higgins has
all the John, by the way. John, if you're listening to this for some reason, I love you so much. You're handsome. Come on the podcast.
I would love to have him on the podcast.
That'd be super fun, actually. I might reach out to him.
All right, bet. That sounds great. Next on my list, is it a cop-out answer? It very well might be a cop-out answer. I'm going to say Cooper Kupp and Austin Eckler. Yeah. Is it a cop-out answer to say both those two? You'll find it. It's surprisingly obvious answer because, big shocker, the guys who score the most points are guys who are already scoring points and have terrific peripherals, right? So both those guys are already scoring points and have great peripherals. So there's no reason to expect them not to be fantasy league winners because they've already been winning people leagues, and I see no reason why that shouldn't continue. Simple answer. They're both Eckler has 22-ish points per game at running back. He's RB2.
He's been crushing. Eckler's so consistent.
Yeah,
the workload he gets is awesome.
Kupp has 25 points per game at wide receiver, and he's wide receiver 100 points per game.
Breakfast with your quarterback, kids. That's the only lesson you need. Eat your breakfast with your quarterbacks. Eat your Honey Nut Cheerios and your Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Watch that film, and just mutually agree to dominate the NFL. That's what you do.
Have you seen Kupp's breakdown of the route that scored him that touchdown? Oh
no, I haven't.
That made me feel. You never seen it? I'll send it to you.
No, I haven't. Yeah, please do.
He just details the route and the coverage in such incredible detail, using terms that most people have never heard of in their entire life, and it just sounds crazy the way he
did you see that did you see the route that I believe it was Stephon Diggs ran last week, that nasty touchdown? Who was it on Lattimore? Yeah, it was so disgusting.
I think that Mechie ran in the Iron Bowl. I think it was Mechie.
I didn't see it, but
it was in the fourth overtime to win the game. It's
really
at the left corner, you run and you fake like you're breaking inside, and
it's called I don't know what the actual terminology is, but I use the play on Madden sometimes, so I'm basically an offensive coordinator. They call it a Zig Route, so you cut in hard like you're running like a drag or a slant or an in route, and then you just cut out as hard as you can. And Diggs made it look so easy. He's such a
Higgins
good
is
route
a good
runner.
route runner. Yep.
Who do you think he's the best route runner in the NFL?
No, that's Javonte.
Yeah, that's true. I don't
And
know.
then
When I think about
Jason Witten.
Devontae, though, I think of just a physical specimen.
Who? Devonte?
Devontae, yeah.
Yeah.
He's an animal.
Mhm.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So many good options, though, man. So many good
You
ones.
you
Did you
won't
get
be a
into
top you won't be a top NFL wide receiver without some degree of route running. Like
True.
speed and power won't get you everything. It's like, and even
True.
if route running isn't their signature thing, like a guy like Jamar Chase, they have they'll be a sneaky good route runner. Otherwise, they wouldn't be good, right?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, even the huge guys like Julio and all those people, I mean, they're still elite route runners.
Julio was a fantastic route runner.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, he's a physical specimen, but he also is an elite route runner. That's what I mean. He's a dog. Did you want to hit on Deontay real quick, or did you kind of just throw him to the
Yeah,
wayside?
Deontay is too. He has a 30% target share on the year. How many targets does he have per game? I know it's a lot. It's like 10.
A ton. He's getting peppered, man.
10.9 targets per game.
That's so many. Holy shit.
That's just volume. It's a volume. It's not super valuable targets, but they're not like invaluable, like 6-8 odd targets, like Jalen.
Yeah,
Walker.
Claypool gets all the valuable targets in the offense. Claypool and
know.
Freiermuth usually get those big opportunities for the
Mhm.
big plays. Deontay is more that you need a 15-yard comeback route. He's got you every time.
I
He's
know
that
it's
guy for
crazy.
the
Like
offense.
I'll just be checking the box score for the Steelers sometimes. If I'm watching Red Zone, I'm not like seeing their game a bunch. I'll just check the box score, and like Deontay will have like 11 targets, 9 catches for 100 yards or something, and then Claypool will have 7 targets, 2 catches for 60 yards. It's just like, what the hell are they using Claypool like that, man?
Yeah, it's weird. Ben always
Because
has
he's
this
good after the
tendency.
catch too. I think they could use him better.
I totally agree with you, Kosh. That's why I predicted a huge breakout season for Claypool because he's a stud, and if they gave him the workload, he'd be so good. But like they only use him for those deep threats.
He hasn't regressed since his rookie year. His rookie year, obviously, he had better like touchdown luck. I don't know, higher catch rate. I guess
the only thing
these are not very sticky stats. These on a
No.
earning targets perspective and a air yard market share weighted opportunity weighted perspective. He's still been good. He hasn't regressed since his rookie year at all. It's been pretty like flat. It's not like he's made a huge jump. Like
it's just the touchdowns. It's just the touchdowns. He's just missing those touchdowns that he didn't get.
You miss on some deep targets.
Season.
You miss on some touchdowns. It's high variance, right?
Yes.
So I definitely think that if they get a good QB upgrade, you'll be seeing big things from Claypool next season.
I agree.
Yeah,
I really hope so.
Upside.
Huge upside, monstrous upside. We kind of saw flashes of that last season, but one last name I want to throw out there, David Montgomery. I remember shout out to the Fantasy Footballers, the only fantasy football podcast I listen to on this earth. Love them to death. But David Montgomery apparently has a very weak end of season schedule. So once again, David Montgomery is poised to smash. He had a great game this past week as well. So David Montgomery, go out there, make a trade for him if the trade deadline hasn't passed for some reason in your league, or if you don't have one, consider sitting out an offer for him. So that's all for me today.
I will
anything
say
before the people go?
You should listen to the R Squared podcast that I make with Ian Dynasty_ad because we were hammering Monty for a different reason, but I think we still came to the same answer because he's he is the cheapest workhorse in the NFL. From like
what about Josh Jacobs?
To get them on your team.
What about Josh Jacobs?
No, he's not a workhorse. I mean,
I think he is, man.
Nah, he doesn't see the receiving like work, but he's been running more routes over the last couple weeks. But
yeah,
Monty's opportunity share is higher. It's his opportunity on the year is like opportunity share on the year. I'd have to check, but I think it's like 75 or more. But that's an easy thing to check. It's on the year, David Montgomery has an opportunity share of 76%, which is absolutely fantastic.
That's insane.
That's a workhorse. That'll get you a bunch of carries, bunch of receiving work, bunch of touchdowns, and if the schedule's there, then you have a high ceiling for the rest of the season, which is why, he can be a league winner too. I like it.
Absolutely.
Good call, Luke. Good call.
Thank you, Akash. You're so handsome. I love you. All right, guys, that'll do it for today's episode. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Hope you had a great day. We will see you tomorrow. Have a good one, everybody.
Bye.